Trigger warning. The information you are about to hear describes gruesome acts of violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
College students, are you okay? No, seriously, I'm asking. The amount of content I've seen coming out of college campuses about the most obscene and egregious things occurring is very worrying. It almost seems like colleges get to exist in their own pockets of society because no one pays attention to them and just lets them do their own thing. Which is obviously a problem because they are inundated with funding, therefore can hide whatever goes wrong, and we're sending children there. Look, I was reading this article about Stanford. Stanford, an incredibly prestigious, wealthy school, and how they're continuously dropping the ball when it comes to students' mental health. And I was appalled. They've had 4 suicides in just over a year. The college continuously assured the public they would make changes, hire counselors, mental health specialists, etc., took in funding to do so, and then just never did. Look it up. It's in the San Francisco Chronicle. I'm not crazy, but that is. And we can't forget the people being stabbed to death on campus, sexual assault victims not being protected per usual, the good old Title IX cases continuing to be mishandled, and the many other videos I scroll past on here, Twitter, Instagram, of college horror stories. I don't know, I'm just checking in, y'all. Are you okay? What do we do about this?
I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna hear your sound. And mama always told me to shout and speak my mind out loud. Come on and talk when you got the time. Freedom want you on the line. We wanna hear from you. You got it going. Let your voice shine. Platform yours, it's not just mine. We wanna hear from you. You got it going. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. You're gonna shine. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. You're gonna shine. Welcome to the Freedom Savage Podcast. Hey y'all, what's up? It's your boy Douglas, or you can call me Freedom. Welcome to my channel. This is season 2, episode 3 of my podcast. Before we get started, make sure that you guys like this video, comment below this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Why? Because you need me. We got some awesome guests with us today and some interesting topics. Let's start off with our first segment. Hey you guys, welcome. This is our first segment, Freedom of Speech. I am with a very amazing guest of mine, my cousin. You can introduce yourself to the viewers.
How you doing, guys? I'm Shawn. People call me Shawnee. How you guys doing?
It was a very hectic week for me, but I'm glad that I was able to get all of my work done and be able to shoot, this podcast, because I couldn't wait to come back to this podcast. It's been a really, really, really long time, but they know about the summer I had, so I know it's understandable why I haven't been back.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that I am. This stuff it's fun, and I told my friend this on the first episode. What I love about doing this podcast is I'm able to interact with like friends, family, and stuff like that.
Right.
And other people get to join in. Because, when you guys join these episodes, it's not just mine and y'all are guests, it's ours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is this is conversations that we would have without the podcast even being a thing. Which brings me into my first topic, actually. As I already showed you and sent to you yesterday, the Shade Room posted videos detailing an incident that happened at a Philly pregnancy center. And I believe the video has gone viral. I'm not going to mention the woman's I don't even think her name was mentioned. Just for privacy purposes. I don't know if she really wanted information about her out.
Yeah.
I think the goal was really just to,
So you could we could leave it at that. That's fine.
Yeah. I am going to provide videos to the viewers for exactly what happened, because it's a lot for us to just talk and narrate and take in. We're going to just jump right into the commentary. According to the Shade Room, an expectant mother is speaking out after an altercation with a nurse occurred at the Philly Pregnancy Center. According to the mother, she went to the center because she had been experiencing a lot of pain and wanted a doctor's note for work. After being examined by the nurse in the video, the mother was told that she couldn't receive a note from the doctor. The nurse explained that the most she would be able to do is say that the mother is unable to lift 25 pounds or more. The nurse and mother get into a heated discussion, and the mother eventually called the nurse a weirdo. The nurse then decides to call the cops on the mother, stating that she allegedly felt threatened. After police arrive to de-escalate the situation, the mother is told to wait in the lobby for the doctor's note she requested. It is at this point that the nurse decides to confront the mother and accuse her of fraud. At one point, the nurse even appears to get physical with the mother. No word on if the nurse will face any sort of discipline after the situation.
What were you thinking about when you got pregnant, that you were not going to work? I'm just curious, because I've had 3 kids. I worked up until the second they were born.
But am I you? Are you me? Do you know how I feel? Do you know how my body
that's why I'm
feels?
asking. I'm interested to know what you think. I want to know your mindset. So when you got pregnant, what were you thinking about?
I was thinking about having a kid. I'm confused on where you're going at.
I'm confused too, because you came in here and I did an assessment and I gave you my best medical advice. And you didn't like that.
But I said that I just wanted a note so I could take it easy these next 2 months.
And
I'm 7 months pregnant and I'm in pain. It's not fraud. If it was fraud, the doctor wouldn't be getting me my note right now.
Really?
Yes.
What I read on your chart isn't true.
Okay.
So I
What's
know
on my
it's
chart
fraud.
that's not true?
I read on your chart what isn't true, because I'm the person who saw you and did the exam.
Okay.
So it's okay.
But how do you know how I feel? How do you feel inside?
Because I stuck my hand in there and checked your
Okay,
cervix.
you check my cervix, but how you know how my bones feel? How you know how my body feels, my legs, my back? How do you know how that feels? How you know how my nausea feels? How you know how my cramps feel? By touch, and you're okay. All right, so this is the nurse practitioner, and look how she's hitting me. Look at it. Check her out. Check it out. Call the police, and they're going to see how you just what you just did. Call the police. She already called the police on me once because I called her a weirdo. Yes, look at you. This lady is crazy. Call the cops again. Call them.
It's okay.
Call them. I got you on video hitting me with that thing in your hand.
This?
This is the Philly Pregnancy Center, guys.
Yeah, okay, Jillian.
She didn't want to give me a...
Personally, I feel that it was completely unnecessary for the situation to happen at all. I believe she was there for a doctor's note to say that she needs to start maternity leave. That's it. That's not something that should be difficult. I mean, I would say the job itself would like to play with you. I've never seen like a doctor's office playing with you over a maternity leave thing. Like that's something that they're always willing and easy to grant you. So that kind of lost me. But what lost me more was her behavior with the patient was crazy to me, because I'm like to know that this woman is pregnant and then to be rude to her, then to try to swing on her with whatever that she had in her hand. See, like men and women are completely two different entities, and things like that make me realize how different we are. Because even though she went through that, she held her composure. Like if I was probably with my mind in her skin, I probably would have used deadly force and tried to hurt her or something. Cause like listen, I may, and excuse my language for if that's not okay for your show, but me personally, I
completely okay. I
take children very, very seriously, and it's like to do that, like to try to harm a pregnant woman in any way. It don't even matter if it's just a light tap. Like I personally believe that is warranted for deadly force. Like you don't even talk to a pregnant person in that kind of manner. Like
absolutely,
let alone touch them. Like that's no. The cops, like as you can see, that's clearly a thing that white women love to do. They think calling the cops is gonna. They don't think calling the cops is gonna save them. They just think calling the cops is gonna end in somebody being killed without them having to do it. If that makes sense. Like if I could be like, hey, I want to get you killed without me saying that, I'll just call the police on you. And that's what they think is gonna happen. But police are already on top of these things. So there are 9 times out of 10, these white women are not even being heard from the police because there's so much of these calls coming in nowadays. It's becoming silly now. But obviously certain places, like certain states, they actually entertain this dumb stuff. and it's sad, but it's the reality that we live in. But overall, what I think about the situation, I believe she should get legal matters involved. I think she should get a lawsuit, some type of compensation, something. Personally, I don't believe me going anywhere for my health and benefit and then experiencing that. I don't believe that I'm just gonna walk away from that and forget about it any time of day. Like, no, I need justice for that. I need reprimandings for that. Like, it's not gonna be a regular walk in the park after you disrespect and insult me while I'm 7 to 8 months pregnant. Like, that's just my personal opinion on it. I know a lot of women may feel the same way. I know a lot of women probably feel the same way about using deadly force too. I know women they like that, but I'm just saying that she was a true warrior for holding herself down, even in a tough moment like that. That's what I'm really meant to say. Like, men, I don't know if men could do that because I don't know if I could do that personally.
Already dragging it for not giving her the note. If I'm a doctor and I see a pregnant woman come to me and she needs a note for maternity leave, I'm going to give it to you. I don't care if you're not experiencing pain. I'm going to give you
I don't need any. If you can walk into my office and I can very clearly see the belly protruding out of your dress or out of your clothing, like, if I'm a man doctor, I don't have time for this, miss. You are granted, because I don't feel your pain. Like, I don't get that. I'm not gonna say it's joy, but I don't get to feel the pain that you feel. So I can't sit here and judge what I believe you should get on how you feel when I can't ever know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we don't live in their bodies. So
thank you. Even as a woman doctor, you don't live in this patient's body. So it's like, I feel like you kind of have to. It's kind of a gray area, because I get that you can't let the patient do exactly what they want, because it may or may not be helpful for the baby. But at the same time, it's like, you can't just ignore what this woman is saying. Like, obviously, if she's working at some type of job and this job is actually requiring her to lift and do other things, moving around, like, she clearly needs to be home. 7 months is...
First of all, the amount of pain that they experience, it'll feel like they lifted something already.
Exactly.
So, like, to say that she can lift stuff, even if there's a maximum of how much she could lift, for you to even say that she could lift, that she's fine.
I don't know how. That's one thing. Like, that's Philadelphia. I don't know how a situation like that could happen in New York. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of a situation that happened like that in New York.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
that doesn't make sense.
So many babies being born every day. You have to accommodate these people. It's not a if, and, or but, procedure, protocol, policy. I don't give a hell about what it is. Like, there's so many people where we live. Like, New York is calmly about 9 million people. That's a lot of people. 9 million is a lot of people. And out of 9 million people, at least more than half of the 9 million people are women. So you telling me that out of 9 million people, 5 million of these people are women, and with all of them have the ability to get pregnant. So it's like, look how many of these, like, just do the math. It's just simple. That it's clear that we're gonna need help. Like, and it don't even matter what state are we at. Like,
calling the cops, dragging it again. She called you weird and you called the police. That right there is what shows me that it was racially motivated.
Yes, that's racially motivated, because we are two adults dealing with each other. Where did the police come from? If you realistically look at it, like, people in the same race don't usually do that with each other. Like, if I'm arguing with another black person, I don't ever think, you know what, I'm gonna call the police on you. Like arguing, like, not even physically getting into anything, but arguing, I'm gonna call the police on you. That never was a thought that crossed my mind. So it's like, I don't know, like, that has to be definitely racially motivated. They tell you they'll call the police on you. I'll just tell them I'm calling the Panthers on them. They know what to do.
Speaking of what you said earlier about, like, the cops knowing what to entertain and what to not entertain, I'm glad that they knew enough to not entertain the situation. It's terrifying to know that that's even a thing, but there have been pregnant women that have been brutalized by the cops. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I think I actually saw one get, their life taken away by the cops. And it's horrifying to know that that could happen to pregnant women, because you're not just hurting one person, you're hurting two people. I'm glad to know that the cops weren't really being extra too. If I was a cops, I would have went off on that lady. She took them away from a potential emergency because a woman called you a name. What do you mean you felt threatened?
They said that in the near future that they're gonna start giving people time for that. And I completely agree, because
Definitely needed to get arrested for what she did.
yeah, because I feel like to call the police on a non-threatening situation, I feel like you deserve, I don't know, something, a weekend in jail. I don't know.
After the situation is handled, she actually gets the note, right? She goes into a waiting room on her own. At this point, the nurse and her should have no dialogue.
Talking about, I wanted to talk to you. Like, what do you need? What do we need to talk about?
What? You're already dragging it.
To know the height of the era of where we at. Remember that Black people in police are clearly having a bad time with each other right now. My thing is this, like when it gets to a certain point when enough is enough, right? What will happen? Like, I'm gonna be honest, I ain't gonna get too crazy on your channel, but
I don't care. It's perfectly fine. You're asking a really great question. But I feel like the world is ending overall, but that's just...
What's up? Yes, Papa. I'm sorry.
Tell him I said hi. Hi, Carter.
Look, Carter, say hi.
Hi. Oh my God. Hi. This is the first time he's actually hi to me.
He said he want to be on the podcast too.
Let's talk about it, Carter.
Yeah, but what I meant was like, bro, when we get to that point, we're gonna get to that point, and there's been many people talking about it already. But we kind of gotta get the world to what it used to be. Talking about where it was just no external anything, like, and that's like a difficult place to get to, especially because of how accepting and how forgiving and like how loving and stuff. Like, I mean, it's nice, but I'm gonna be honest. And then these prophecies are becoming a thing for a reason, because like they're actually becoming true for a reason. And it's not about them. It's honestly about us, really. And what I think is gonna happen is that like these landslides, everything that's going on, like it's going on simply because we're the nature is reclaiming their land, and who's the natural ones, man. I can't stress it enough. Like, who's the natural one? Even, I'll be real with you, we ain't even 100% natural, but realistically, none of us belong here. But at the end of the day, we got to get them up out of here, man. Once we do, then we'll climb up that ladder as we get there. But other than that, once we get rid of them, you know what Harriet said? She said, I would have saved 100 more if they only knew.
In so many ways, I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people agree with me too. There's a lot. Like, there's people who actually want to put in the work, but it's a strategy. You can't just up and do it because it's gonna look crazy. You know what I'm saying? But you have a tactical strategy just like they do, and we'll have a party. You know what I'm saying? They got police, they got SWAT team, they got, you know what I mean? They got National Guards, secret agents, and secret societies and shit, and secret military militias and shit. Like, we get on that level. Once we get on that level, we could dance, honestly. We as a culture and we as a race, we need way more respect than what we're getting. And I think you're right. You know, if everybody really puts their minds together, I think that we will be able to actually, get what we're deserved. But it's all about how you go about it in time. One thing that is for sure, people are trying to stop it in so many ways that a lot of people don't even think of. To be honest, like, there's been a lot of like new Black doctors, new Black lawyers. It's sus already. The fact that we are still
being called the first people to do this and the first people to do that. Like,
right.
even that is crazy.
The master's or the doctorate, the master's degree or the doctorate is basically saying that you've successfully learned the ways of massa. You know how they call them massa, and then you get a master's degree, doctorate, doctrination.
Yeah.
All of these things are very real. They tell you to spend 8 to 12 years of college so you can learn how to be a white man. They don't tell you keep your identity while you're learning this new. They don't tell you that. They tell you you have to conduct yourself like a white man in order to be able to live and get this money like us.
Black people are oppressed in many fields. That oppression is still happening even in medicine. A lot of Black women don't get the best medical service when they are at hospitals. You know, it was said on the news multiple times. You have so many
that's because white people really don't understand us. Like, we believe Black women are not susceptible to pain or whatever. That's why they don't give them the right pain medication.
Yeah.
Like, because that don't even make sense in itself. Like, to be like, hey, this person's skin is brown, I don't believe they feel pain. Like, what? Like, that don't even make remotely any sense. And this is the point of where I get back to. I'm like, see, them gotta go. If that makes sense. I know some of them aren't like that. It's a dormant thing that they have. It ain't like they always peachy. It's peachy to them, and then when something arises, then it gets dormant, then it comes out.
What scares me is just she's not the only white woman of that nature that would do something like that. You know, like, I feel like she should get whatever license or whatever she got taken away from her. I feel bad for the next ethnic woman that falls into her arms for medical service.
That's why they tell us to vote and stuff like that. Because I'm gonna be honest, it actually does work in certain circumstances. U.S. presidents do not do that shit. That shit does not matter. Like, I'm talking about the entire state of New York could not vote for anybody and they'll still choose a president. It would not make any difference. But, like, say for instance, like petitioning, signatures, stuff like that actually works. Because if I could get 1,000 signatures, I'm talking about 999 plus one extra person signed to be like, I don't want this woman with a medical license ever again. That could be possible. The power is in the numbers. That's what they say. If I could get 1,000 people to be like, yeah, she can't come here. And I'm talking about, I have people standing outside that office every day like this. Nope, you can't come in. If we stick together like this, then that's where they're going to learn how to behave themselves. Listen, go ahead and kill another Black person. See what we do to your neighborhood. That's why I'm like, they don't understand where we at right now. Like, especially mentally, as men and women.
I think
they have
2020 gave them like a glimpse.
Watch a lot of videos. Like, we know what they're on. Like, we know that they know how to. They teaching their 6-year-olds to shoot guns. Like, that's cute and all, but that 6-year-old ain't. I'm talking about when the hoods running them burbs, it's gonna be a different ball game. They think it's gonna be cute and they're gonna have little girls picking us off. That's not gonna be the case. I'm gonna be real with y'all.
I just want unity. And I mean, with like all races, we could only go forward from here. You know what I mean?
The thing is about history, you got to remember where you came from to know your history. Why you think they had Egyptians holding the heads of Europeans? What they had, like, they heads off. It was a reason that they had every other complexion being slaughtered and kicked out of Egypt for a reason. They know that they aren't the ones. They know that it's not even that. Like, they know that they know where we are. They know who we are, and they basically bringing us down. That's all it is. Like, it's like if I can't beat this guy, if this guy is too superior, the least I could do is stop him a little bit. That's exactly what they do. Unity is another thing that stops that. If I'm united with somebody who I don't know for 100% has bad intentions for me, it's gonna look like a Dr. Martin Luther King situation. Because I'm gonna think that it's white people that's all here for me and this and the third, and next thing you know, I got agents knocking on my door. Like, these are real life things. Like, it's called like they have these there. When I mean they're so calculated, so smart. Obviously, somebody is doing this for them. Like I don't believe them to be in that nature, to be that intelligent. To be honest, like yes, it's possible to learn like that, but it's obviously something else that's like making them do that. Because a lot of them, you could tell, like in the 70s, a lot of them wanted peace, but between 1975 and 1990, they obviously didn't. So it was like that we had to do. And it wasn't just them going crazy on us. Like the thing is, they're not gonna tell a lot of the stories when we fought back though. That's the thing. They're not gonna talk about when we burnt down like 8 houses down south looking for clan masters. Like they're not gonna talk about none of that stuff. They're not gonna talk about how we had Tulsa, Oklahoma. We was kicking white people out, and that was the reason that they bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're not going to tell nobody that. These are things that
we're never going to know the stories for when we were really on top. You know what I mean?
They're never to understand that we was really on our own, and then they tried to come over here. We like, no. You got Ohio. You have New York. You got the factory. To go ahead. And they was like, nah, these really got their own banks and hospitals and they don't need us. Nah, I don't like that. And that's my point about unity, because they want us to need them in order to be united. I don't want to need you to be united. That's my problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be united is for me to be comfy here, you comfy there. And if we want, we could link up a little bit. We could, you know what I mean? We could engage ideas and make things better. Like that's what I'm okay with that as being unity, but people don't have the same idea as you do as unity. What you mean by unity, they mean infiltration. That's what they mean. So they're ready to take what you have, but since they see you not ready to take what they have, they're ready to take what you have. Basically.
I feel like this when it comes to the world we live in, it's set up to where people of our skin tone have to work 10 times harder in any field.
We are in their society. If we was in our own society, you think we would work this hard? Obviously, this is clearly not our system. If this was our system, our society, it would never be this hard. Teachers would get rapper money. If this was our society. Because to me personally, an educator should definitely make more than an entertainer. That don't make sense to me. Why can't I do tours in Europe? Why can't I do tours in Africa teaching kids? Like, you can go on tour, entertain people. Why I can't teach kids?
Speaking of kids, I had a question for you. Shout out to Carter. He's adorable. What do you want Carter to learn and take? Because, you know, when it comes to parents and raising their kids, what you're basically doing is packing a book bag for him to carry throughout his life. Yep. What do you want him to know? What knowledge do you want him to grasp? What do you want him to know as being a Black man in this world? Not even just this country, but this world.
It's tough because I want him to, and it's so sad because I felt like as a child growing up, I personally thought like, because I'm alive and I'm young, I felt like everybody in this world is for me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I felt like everybody's supposed to be my friend, some type of help, support system. And my thing is, I don't want him to go through life thinking he can't receive help from anybody. But at the same time, I want him to go through life so he understands that not every human has the best interest at heart for him. I want him to be aware of a lot of stuff very early. Like, I want him to understand, like, I want him to use his third sense very early. Like, if somebody is treating you a certain way, you leave him alone, you dead it, or you express yourself. Like, I want him to let his existence be known. And if he not getting treated a certain way, I need him to remove himself and create a space where it's only strictly for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want him to do a lot more than I did, especially as opposed to like emotionally like maturity. Like, I want him to really be like, how I really want to put it, I want him to be like me when I was about like 8 years old. Like, when I was 8 years old, I had a I had a like a good year and a half of being completely strictly serious. And what I mean by that is that like when you take yourself so seriously, the world has no other choice but to either take you as seriously as well, or you're gonna remove yourself to put yourself in a light or in a space where you can conduct yourself, where you know, because it's like the thing about this world is that like you're gonna meet a lot. He's gonna meet a lot of people. He's gonna have friends. He's gonna have girlfriends and this and that. He's gonna have a long life. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna think that a lot of people out here is gonna be with him to the bitter end, and it's not like that. It's not gonna be like that. So it's like I want him to find people that he can hold on to, yes, but I just want those people to be his people. If they happen to be a different race, I will have to accept that. But at the same time, I want him to be aware of what behaviors go on in these races. Like I will teach him that, like I'm not gonna teach him all the negative things about everybody, but I'm gonna let him know that just because this person is smiling at you don't mean that human trafficking isn't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like just because this person is giving you every time you see this boy, he's giving you a toy, he's giving you a snack, that doesn't mean that his parents don't have some weird cult ritualistic stuff going on at home. You feel what I'm saying? Like I want him to be aware of the things that go on in a society while he maintains like his innocence. Like I want him to be like, oh no, like that's crazy, but still maintain himself, like because it's very easy to become like this at age 30. You know what I'm saying? By the time I'm 60, you think I'm gonna be talking about unity at 60? Hell no. I'm like, I'm not like I already seen what I saw for 30 years. I already know ain't shit gonna change in 30 years. So I'm gonna make sure that he's set. That's what I want to make sure of.
One, I want to say thank you for coming on here.
Of course, anytime, baby.
Two,
I always said I had to come on one of these, man.
you had to. And two, I'm not gonna lie. Your ideas, you're not.
I'm not methodical, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not a method. It's not a methodical method, bro. It's a get up and do it one day kind of idea. And it's like the one day we get up and do it, I hope it's at night. So it's like
they're very clear. You're clear on your intent, and you're clear for what you want for not only yourself but for other Black folk and your kids, their kids, and their kids, and their kids in the future. Do agree with you when you say that it may not be that the world is ending.
Their world that's ending, bro.
It's probably you know what I mean. Like
trust me,
probably a resurgence happening to where it's like okay. Other people of color are really, taking demand here. I'm just glad that what we say is starting to be seen and what we say is starting to be heard, even if it's not a lot, just a little bit, because it's the beginning to make things work. But thank you so. Of
course, much, cuz you know that.
Give Shay and Carter all my love. I think I told y'all this last season. Shay is the reason why my hair looks so rich. Both of our hair looks amazing. I'm gonna put her hair page on that way everybody could see it. Because she has hands of gold, literally.
Facts, man. Everybody watching this, man. Crownkinks, come get your dreads done.
You made me so happy for doing this. Can't wait for people to see it.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, Shawnee.
Anytime, baby. I love you.
Love you too. Hey, you guys, this is my next segment. This is Freedom of Speech Part 2. And I am with a very special guest, Sanjula. You can, introduce yourself, give your pronouns and whatnot.
Hi, my name is Sanjula. I'm from Washington, D.C. I go by she, her, and I'm happy to be on this podcast.
We met through our mutual friend, my girl, Keena. You guys heard me shout out Keena on the first episode, and shout out to Keena again. Angela here is my sign twin, which we found out, I think, like the first day we actually got to actually meet each other in person.
Yeah. your birthday is like 2 days before mine.
2 days before yours. Yeah, I'm February 26th. She's 28th. You guys already know Pisces season is really about to be right around the corner. From talking to you back at the dorm and stuff, like on Keena's birthday, I was like, oh yeah, if I do a podcast, you're immediately coming on. So I'm really glad that you're on here right now. First things first, let's get into just how are we feeling? How are we doing? You know, what's your headspace like? What's going on? How was your week? I know you had a really busy week. Let's first start off with that.
Yeah, college is a lot. But actually, I am feeling really good this week because I just ended all my midterms. And of course, everyone is like, oh, midterms over, I'm happy. But honestly, I am taking this time and the long weekend to kind of like reset and really start the semester over, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
just try to redo my semester by really thinking about what I need and what I need to do. And it's going to be great.
If you don't mind, I want you to give the viewers just some information about what you're majoring in exactly.
Okay, so I'm currently a neuroscience major, which, because I'm in my early years, kind of is just like a biology major, but it's really intense. Like, not gonna lie. I mean, everybody knows that, but it really is intense. Takes your classes alone takes up a lot of hours of the day. And then just like the work behind the scenes is so much. It's like by the time your classes are done, you feel exhausted, but then like your day is not done. So it's like constant working, but if you really like it, then you should go for it, even though it's gonna be a lot of hours involved.
I'm standing you overall because it's one thing to see a Black girl in this field, and then it's another thing to see
Yes.
an Indian Black girl in this field, which is just
Yeah.
like, and you're both in one. So like, I'm just totally standing you at this point. Like, what made you want to go into that field in the first place?
I just love doing it. I'm a math and science person. And when you are interested in that, I think you just know off the bat that what's going to be involved in your major, what it's going to entail, which is a lot of hours. So I think like if you mentally prepare yourself and tell yourself that you're up for that challenge and you also like what you do, then, you should just go for it.
Especially like in the acting field of things, I was always told that if you want to do it, if you love doing it, you're going to be all right. Here, especially because although there's a lot of also gruesome tasks that come with being a singer and an actor, we also work day and night. Like when I have to edit videos, like I could tell you guys right now, editing sucks completely. It really does. But once you actually finish what you're doing, it's like a huge stress reliever. Like, oh my God, I did it.
It's the product that matters, not
the product that matters. Even with singing, like and this is probably, I don't know if this is going to hit the air correctly, but I hate practicing. And it's so weird because practicing is what's going to make whatever you have to do doable better. You know what I mean? Like practicing is the key to everything. What I'm saying is a lot of times practicing could get a little gruesome, and it'll really make you sometimes second guess, like, what am I doing? But it's so worth it once you get that finished product. Like once I actually get the feeling as if I mastered a song, especially a classical piece, like once you actually see the product of what you do, you're not going to care about having to do it so much in the future because you know what it's going to lead up to. Aside from all that glitz and glamour, it is hard.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you pointed that out because I think like one conception that everyone has is that like, oh, as a science major, like it's always funny because like you like what you do, but it's like you're all also miserable because like you're like, oh, I hate this class. It's so like, time consuming. But it's, now that I think about it, from what you pointed out, it's kind of like the same thing for everyone. Like, you're not gonna like all like the homework and practice you have to do, but then like, at the end, like this is helping you towards what you want to do. And I think everyone says that like math is actually fun when you know what you're doing, when it like makes sense to
Yeah,
you.
when it's easy for me, it's fun. It's doable. It's 1, 2, 3. Like, that's really me with math. Like, math, it really depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah. Once you like figure it out, it's fun because it's like easy. But it's funny because it's like, I think it's the same with all studies. It's just some might appear more harder on the surface.
Now, personally, you and I have spoke periodically during the week when you were stressing out and stuff about your midterms. What do you feel like is one thing that really got you through this week?
That's a good question. I really don't think that I like in the moment, I think it felt like nothing was going to like solve the issue because like I was just, you're always thinking about what you have to do next. But I think the minute I ended, like the minute I was done with that test, like everything just dropped, everything went away. And so I mean, I guess in hindsight, I could have just looked forward to that. I guess that's what I did as well, now that I think about it. I looked forward to, what? It feels like torture now. But on Friday, it's over. It's time to, all the stress right now is gonna just be gone. And I need to think about that. Like, it's gonna be hard now, but I only have 2 days left and then it's over.
I don't think a lot of teachers did it on purpose, but I know me being a student back in my high school, it was kind of a stigma to really scare students with a test. So teachers will purposely over exaggerate an exam to really make a student have this mindset where it's like, okay, it's life or death if I don't study for this test. And then they'll describe everything that you have to do. And then after all of the lecturing and after all of describing the test, they're like, yeah. Like afterwards, they kind of like blow it off because what they really want to do is put you into that mindset where it's like, oh yeah, you got to do this if you really want to like go forward in life, And I saw through it. So a lot of times when I had final exams or whatever, like I was kind of just like, okay, look, I could study all I want. But at the end of the day, when you get tests, and we live in New York, it's a testing state. We get tests for everything. I cannot control what I can't control, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stop this teacher from giving a test. You know what I mean? I can't stop the government from giving so-and-so tests. You know what I mean? Like, I can only take the test because I know that I can only go forward by taking this test. When it comes to school, and especially when it comes to time, we are on a roller coaster that we cannot get off of. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if it ends up going up high, if it ends up making loops and stuff that we don't expect, then that's just what it is. So when it comes to test or hearing about a big final exam, I always take it. And I've trained myself in the last couple of years to really take me ever hearing about an exam with a grain of salt. Because me stressing out is not going to do anything for me. I could only pass or fail. I know that I'm still going to live. You know what I mean? Like,
it's so horrible, like hearing that your teachers did that, because I mean, I've never experienced that.
Specialized high school. So not only did we have to like be masters at our major, but we had to be masters at the academic portion of it too. Like both mattered. And well, on paper, because there were times in my high school where it really did feel like the academics trumped what we had to do with our major. But I don't talk about this stuff a lot. You know what I mean? I don't, because it's like, and everybody that went to my school could really attest to this. Like, that's really how it felt a lot of the time. Like both mattered. Like we weren't able to put one thing aside. Like both mattered, and we had to learn how to juggle both of it. And in some ways, I wouldn't say that it was bad, only because, that is kind of life. But at the same token, I do feel like things could have been executed a different way, not just for me, but for a lot of students at my high school.
Yeah, I didn't go to that type of high school where it was like a mixture of performing arts and academics, but I kind of get the same vibe where it's like, in high school in general, you have to take courses in every subject, even things you hate. So like I could really feel, I know people who are going into like, or who plan to go into like English and humanities stuff, and like you have to take physics. And it's like, this has nothing to do with what I want, and I hate this. So I get that. When I had to take art class, I was very upset because my teacher was very strict. And it's like, I don't even like art. This is not even my thing. But I get that when it's like, this is like a side class. This has nothing to do with what I want to do. But I also have to put so much effort into it because at the end of the day, everything matters equally. Like if you pass all your classes, but then you get an F in English, an F in art, because you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with what I want.
Yeah.
It's still like showing that you didn't care enough to like really work hard in the things that mattered overall, not just specific to you.
Yeah. That within itself could even be looked around, because what if a student's specialty just isn't in that subject? You know what I mean? Like, what if the student did try hard in this chemistry class, but they really just don't get it? Like, there are students that just don't get it. I would say this: last season, I think during one of my segments, we did jump on like school. My guests that I had last season, they both described how annoying it was to kind of like be in college and have to go through it. And I have friends right now that are really second guessing even being in college. The one thing that I don't like about college is, like, my school doesn't really do that for me. And I know that every school is different, but I hate that concept of having to like anally shove you with work because it's college, because of the name. Now, depending on your field, you do need to learn how to, especially like if you're a doctor or something, you have to learn how to handle multiple things at once. There are certain majors where that is required, but I do feel like a lot of times in college, you could be getting a lot of unnecessary work.
I think that's so important what you mentioned about how, they kind of give you that stuff just because it's college. And I was actually talking about that too. I don't like that concept because I think, of course, in college, they're doing it for a reason. It's because they want you to be well-rounded. Yes, I get that. But I feel like at the same time, they don't really explain that part. They don't really explain, like, you do have a lot of stuff to do. This is why, and this is what you can do about it. Let's make a plan. They kind of just throw it at you like, oh, well, this is part of, being here. And then you kind of just get that mentality that like, oh shit, I don't belong here. I can't do this. And I don't like that because people who actually are passionate about something, especially with science, because of course there's already that conception that, if you're going into a science major, you're gonna spend, it's gonna be really, really difficult. And that's true. But I think a lot of people go into it, loving what they do, and then it's just so overwhelming that they're like, you know what? I like this, but I can't handle it. And it's like, you actually can handle it. You just need to know how to do that. But if people are just, the school is just saying like, oh, well, this is part of it. If you don't like it, then don't do it. And it's like, people actually love to, love what they're doing, but they're getting discouraged because they're not getting that support that to tell you that you can do it. You just need to find a plan versus like, this is just part of it. If you can't handle this, get out, you know?
It's cutthroat, but even with there being aspects of life that are just as cutthroat, I feel like it really depends on, again, what you're doing, what you're majoring, and what college are you going to. It all depends on your unique story because everybody's not the same. Everybody could be studying one major and then doing different things within that major. There are kids in my school that are studying classical music because they see a career in it. They want to be classical musicians, you know, that's their goal. That's what they're heading for. But there are some students that don't have that same intent. They could just be here for the experience. You never know exactly what you want to do, you know? And I think that's another concept with college that I'm just like not heavy on because it's like, you know, me personally, I'm in college for music because this is my career. I had this career mapped out for me since I was 3. You know what I mean? Music has always been my life. Entertaining and that type of field has always been my life since I was a baby, you know, but for like the next person, it's like, what if they just feel like this is something that they want to do now? You know what I mean? It's whatever we want to do with our lives is not written in stone. We could change our minds at 40, 50. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I think that's another concept with college that I think I just don't agree with, just that fact that it's like, okay, some colleges will really make you feel like, okay, if you're really doing this major, and it makes sense only because, you know, if a college sees that you're here for this major, they're going to push you in this major because it's the assumption that this is really what you want to partake in your life. But I don't feel like, I hope you catch my drift. I don't feel like it's not written in stone, basically. You know what I mean? Like, we should still have the freedom to be like, hey, you know what? No, you know what? This year I want to do this. This year I want to do that. You know what I mean? Because people could be in that major, but it may not be because they see their rest of their lives being that major. It could just be that for right now, this is where their heads are.
Even that word choice like pushes that on your brain. If I didn't even think of that because I didn't come to college as an undecided major. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. On all my applications, I put exactly what major I wanted to do. But if you're already on the fence about something and you're taking a class here and there to figure it out, and then you hear on day one, like, this is what you're going to end up being, and this is why we're going to push you so hard, it's like you start getting discouraged from something that you could have actually wanted to do. And you just now are just like completely against it. I know so many people who came into college first year as a STEM or pre-med major, and then after week 1 was like, no, change your major already. And it could be because, you know, you had a experience with it and, you know, you actually didn't like it. But me, the program I'm in my school is different than the program other people are in. So my program has your first year, you take core classes, and the second year you end up taking classes that relate to your major. And the benefit of that is that you already know what college is like. I mean, it depends what major you're taking. My major, all the gen eds are very difficult because they're STEM-based classes. But for me, it was really helpful because the first year I end up, you know, understanding what college is like. And the second year, I understand, oh, my classes are going to be harder. And this is how I can adjust to it based on what I learned from last year. If your first year, you go in and it's already difficult, and then you're getting these impossible classes on top of you, it's so easy.
It's gonna be real tempting to go.
Like it's so easy to get discouraged and be like, I want to switch my major. I want to switch my school. I don't want to be in this field anymore. I want to do something way easier. And it's like, you just get discouraged off the bat.
Everybody should be able to get some type of wiggle room. You never know a person's intent, or what they're going through in their head. which is bringing me to my next question. Is college impacting your mental health? And if so, what way?
I mean, I think for everyone, college impacts your mental health, even if you don't realize it, because being busy like 24 hours a day minus the amount you're sleeping, and most college students do not get enough sleep. Just even that. Like, sleep is so important for your mental health, but it's like we don't even get the choice here. Um, yeah, so I think that's part of it too. You know, you're not getting enough sleep. That's the first step wrong. Then on top of that, you you know, are busy 24 hours a day. That's not normal. Like other jobs, you work your 9 to 5 and you go home and sleep. Here, we take classes from 9 to 5 and go home and do the same thing we did all day at home. So I think just being in that state, everyone needs to find out a way how to balance school and their mental health, knowing that whatever they're doing is going to take a toll on your mental health. But a lot of people don't realize that and don't feel the need to do that. And if on top of all of that, you were experiencing your own things in your personal life, that's going to make it even worse. So I think in my case, it's a little different. I knew that I had issues with my mental health from years prior to college. So I already had a way to work on that. I've already been working on that for years. I already had tools that I know will help me. I've already had people to talk to already who kind of know what I'm going through. But if you don't have that, if you've never experienced having issues with your mental health, never had experience like looking out for those resources, and then you get thrown into the chaos that is college, that is a lot. And I think many schools act like they have services for your mental health, but they really don't. I know people who have, used the one-time counseling service they have here, which doesn't even make sense. How do you have a one-time counseling service? That defeats the whole purpose. You might as well not have it at all. And apparently, they don't really do anything. They let you talk and they just listen. And it's like, I could do that with a peer. I could do that with a friend. I could do that with a parent. But they are not going to have the expertise to actually help you like a real therapist would. But they don't really provide that. They don't really actively tell you, you're going through a lot right now. It's kind of just like, oh, if you need help, call this number and figure it out. That's not really something people even want to do in the first place. That's not even something that people are going to realize that they need. If you kind of put that in there, that, most of you guys, this is going to take a toll on you. Please be comfortable reaching out for help. That is something that I feel like they need to do more.
I feel like that is one thing that they could do. But I also feel like it's time for a lot of colleges to change their approach instead of us having to find a way all the time. I've seen, especially in the last couple of years, like I've seen so many articles and reports about like this college having like a problem with students doing drugs. And a lot of these students are doing drugs to help them study. And it's like, well, these students would have to do these drugs if you guys, sometimes it's not just the students' actions, it's boxes that students feel like they're getting thrown into. So when they see drugs as their only outlet, that's what makes them want to do it. If it was something where they didn't, like I said, get anally shoved up their ass with work from college every day, then probably they wouldn't need to go that route with anything. If college gave a reasonable amount of work and teachers were more caring about a student's headspace than just throwing work at them. It's the college that also needs to do work too, not just us. I feel like it's a team effort. You know what I mean? Like if we're going to do the work, be responsible and blah, 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 then y'all have to also do the work to make sure that we feel safe enough, not just physically, because that's a whole nother story, but mentally.
That's important too, because I think like in the first place, a lot of, people our age don't, are having a hard time already coming to terms with what they're going through, understanding what they're going through, and then reaching out for help is a whole different territory. So with me personally, I've already been okay with, I'm like an open book. I'm very comfortable telling people about what I'm going through, telling people exactly what's in my head. I'm very comfortable with that. Talking to strangers as well. I'm an extrovert. But most people are not like that. And even in my experience where I've come, this only happened once. Most professors in college are understanding, which I think high school tries to tell you they're not. They try to scare you real bad. In college, you won't get away with that.
In my school, they describe college as hell. Like you're going
and it's like
hell,
I got to college and all my professors are more understanding
than them
than you ever were.
Like so most when I got to college, all of my teachers were understanding. They were
just kind, like easy to talk to. Like it's like you're talking to a person and not just like a piece of paper.
I always tell incoming college students, I'm never going to tell you about the experience because my experience is mine. Just like your experience will be yours. When a lot of incoming students ask me, oh, how's college? I'm not going to tell you anything. Why? Because I don't want to say something that discourages you, but I also don't want you to give your hopes up and then your college shows you something else. You know what I mean? Because it really depends on what you're studying, where you're studying, and your professors. Like at my college, I can tell you right now, and our colleges actually intertwine. At my college, my teachers are understanding, all of them. Like I would say all of them, especially because of the times we live in, like post-COVID, all of my teachers are understanding, and I was telling one of my friends yesterday, like it's they're so much more lenient than my high school professors. My high school teachers, like, and back in high school, phones were illegal. Like if you had a phone, you were Hitler. You were considered Hitler. You had to leave the class. You were getting in trouble. Like they really wanted to Columbus the fuck out of the classrooms compared to like now where it's like, okay, well, if I'm getting a call, the teacher won't have a titty attack. They'll just tell me, go outside and take the call. You get what I mean? Like, it's like...
Yeah, or you could easily just pull your phone out, decline it, and send a message. Like, if your mom called, that was the worst thing you could say. Like, your phone is ringing, and I'm like, oh, my mom is calling me. And they're like, see?
Yeah.
This is the issue with you guys.
You actually are bringing me back to something that happened to me in freshman year. My freshman year Spanish teacher, I loved her. Okay, I love her. Shout out to her. But there was one thing she did at one point during the semester that really, really irked me the wrong way. And it hurt my feelings really badly. And I never showed... You're the first person I'm actually telling this to be honest. But I remember that I was in class with her and my mom was picking me up. Now, my high school didn't have a direct like number for like parents like they had a direct number, like they had a system in place for like parents that wanted to pick up their kids, like how to call them, but it wasn't a 1, 2, 3. So like if you were a parent trying to get your kid from the school, you were gonna like somewhat have a hard time. Like it wasn't, I mean, I don't know how it is now, but I know back when I was there, especially like in freshman year, it wasn't easy for my mom to just boom, call my school, get me. Because like in my school, you actually have to go up to the security, like, you know, the little desk and actually tell them. And then they will get in contact with like the office, who would then get in contact with who would then pull up the students' information, see what classes you were in, then call the teacher. But you see what I mean? Like, even that process within itself, it makes sense, but it's a long one. And a lot of times, because I already had a phone, she was just like, okay, let me just tell you to come downstairs. Like, when I was in Spanish class one day, my mom called my phone, and the teacher, like, she called my phone twice during the teacher's lesson, and you know, I turned it off both times. I didn't, answer because I knew I was in class. And then my teacher got a call, and that's when I was actually able to leave. And I remember packing up, and my teacher, you know, it was so weird because like the way she came at me was so odd. She was basically like giving me whatever I was going to miss, because it was like I had left in the first half of class. After she finished giving me whatever I like put in my folder, I remember packing up my book bag, and out of nowhere, she just came at me and was like, if that happens again, I'm going to take away your phone, and I'm going to make sure that the deans get involved. That is not supposed to happen, and that is against policy. You tell her to call the office. And it was out of nowhere. Like, she said it to me in such a strong, stern way, as if I ever so ruined the class, that I felt embarrassed, and everybody looked at me. But I was so busy on packing up and actually leaving that I didn't really start to feel the hurt until after I left the room. But I just remember feeling so scared, because it was almost as if she was like threatening me with a punishment if that was ever to happen again, like as if I did something ever so bad, you know? So when you
it's never that serious.
It's never that serious. Overall, I do feel like colleges need to do more to, you know, look at a student's mental health, because the if you guys do it in a poor way, this is what brings about, and this is not justified or right, but this is what brings about school shooters and kids wanting to take their life and kids wanting to drop out. And then out of nowhere, you'll say, hey, come to college. Why aren't kids coming to college? Why aren't people in college? Because of this. Look at what people got to go through. This is discouraging as fuck.
I think it's so true what you said about not telling other people about your experience, because it's going to be so different. I didn't even think of that before, but that's really true. I think I did that with myself too. Like in the first semester, all my teachers were so kind that I was like, okay, this is how it's going to be from now on. Second semester, I got a teacher from hell. I mean, the reason why is because on the surface, he was very nice, but like when you got to talk to him deep down, he did not care. And that was the crazy part. So I'm very open, you know, comfortably telling him exactly what I'm going through. At this time, I had just started taking medications. So, you know, my brain was a little off from time to time. And there was other stuff that I was going through in general. And, you know, I come to him casually talking about it. And, you know, seems like he's like, okay, yeah. And then the whole conversation, instead of like, if he had said one sentence like, oh, I'm sorry you're going through this, this must be really tough, I would have felt so much better. But all he kind of was saying was, okay, so like, let me know the timeline of when you're going to make up your work. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. Were you even listening to what I just said? Like, why are you skipping over that important part of what I just said? And I feel like if that was my first class as a college student, I would never want to talk to anybody about this ever again.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, like I said, I'm very open about talking about my mental health, but most people are not, for valid reasons. And if you come to someone telling them what you're going through, and they're just not listening, it's hard. And the other issue I had with him is I had to like fight to have him not deduct my grade. because of certain things that I'd missed, certain things that, you know, were out of my control. And that in of itself just more than anything made me upset, because it's like, you should be bending over backwards for me, not because you have to, but just because you're a person who understands.
It's a moral fucking thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's...
Yeah, I shouldn't have to be fighting with you saying, you know, please listen to what I have to say. Please listen to how bad my life has been recently. You know, that's not something normal that I should have to do. I feel like that's a part of it as well. They need to tell professors, like, you know, there doesn't have to be a policy or a grade book or a number. You need to just have some compassion and have some respect for people without having a policy to tell you that.
Period. I saw this TikTok of this woman saying, like, why is our generation so sensitive? And this therapist went and dragged her for filth. Hopefully I'm able to find the TikTok by the time I'm editing this video. But
what the fuck is up with 18 to 25-year-olds right now, you guys?
So clearly I'm not Gen Z, but they're the generation I worked with the most since going into the field of mental health in 2004. So here's my perspective as a mental health professional. 1. Gen Z is the first generation in a long time to grow up truly feeling like they're not safe. They're the first generation that couldn't escape bullying. Unlike previous generations, Gen Z came home from school and still had to deal with texts, tweets, DMs, snaps, all this intrusive messaging that didn't stop. They were exposed to 9/11 as kids. They grew up constantly hearing about mass violence at schools, concerts, clubs, malls. They witnessed politicians choosing money over their safety. Many of them started early adulthood at the beginning of a pandemic, where they watched vulnerable groups of people such as the elderly, disabled, immunocompromised, and the BIPOC community lose their lives in larger numbers because a worldwide pandemic was politicized. Gen Z witnessed many Americans, some of which were their own parents, fight for their right to endanger the lives of other people because a mask and a safe vaccine were just too much. And before even hitting adulthood, Gen Z is either experiencing themselves or watching people that they love have their basic human rights stripped away. All because another person's religion doesn't approve of their existence. Gen Z is the first generation to have incurred this much debt with little to no way out of it. They are the first generation to truly accept the idea of getting help and support with mental health services. And as a result, when they're able to express themselves in healthier and more positive ways, the older generations are calling them crybabies and too emotional. And when Gen Z expresses frustration, anger, sadness at what they are seeing going on around them, they are being told they are entitled and lazy. One of the most important factors is that because of the explosion of social media in their childhood, they grew up seeing all of the craziness that happens outside of their small bubble they grew up in. And they're the first generation to witness that since childhood. But here's the key difference. They grew up seeing it, but because they were children, they were unable to do anything about it or control it. And that's what causes issues. But they can control it now. They're mobilizing because they can now. They're not helpless anymore. And we as the older generations can do one of two things. Help support them or get the fuck out of their way. Because they're coming whether we like it or not. That is why I admire them. That is why they have earned my respect. They refuse to continue to be victims. So that's what's going on with them. Now let me ask, are you going to support them or are you going to get out of their way?
Don't get mad at our generation because we don't want time to keep going the way it is. Because you guys being so tough and not acknowledging mental health is the same reason for why you have people like Jeffrey Dahmer and all of these criminals. And you get what I'm saying? Like, you guys being tough and ignoring mental health, you know, and I can't speak for all of them, but you guys being tough and ignoring mental health from older generations didn't make the world a better place. The world is still shit today. We actually visibly see what the fuck is going on. We see clearly that the world is trash, and that's why you have so much people with mental issues now, because they're so fucking concerned about the world they live in. Women's rights are still not being accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You still have women, especially in Iran, fighting for their rights. Like, how is that? What the hell is that? Like, for real.
It's 2022.
It's 2022. In so many ways, it really feels like the clock is rewinding. And don't get mad at us because we're trying to change that.
I think people just throw that around in such a cliche way that people don't understand that it's actually true. Because if you are not mentally okay, you are not able to do anything at your best performance. So you might be thinking like, oh, this is so important for me to address that I'm going to ignore what's going on in my life right now. But you're going to end up doing worse because your head isn't there. And, you know, it actually is worth it to skip this one assignment and fix what's going on so that going forward, I can do everything at my 100% best.
Absolutely. And I told my friends I keep referring back to past episodes because this is stuff that I said like previously, but I told my other guest on my second episode that, you know, I took a break. I took a day off from school simply for my mental health because my mind was racing so much and I didn't feel in the proper head. I was so emotional just about everything that's going on, you know, because of what happened to my mom this summer. You know, like I felt like I needed a break. And during that day off, I got more work done than I would have ever did even going to school.
I think that's so important because I knew I had that mentality before anyone else told me that. Yeah. I knew that. It's so odd to me that, you know, what you were saying before, that like our generation comes up with these solutions and other people are like downing us for it. I know in high school, I missed a lot of school. And that's because I was having mental health problems. And you know, at least in DC, they make attendance the biggest thing in the world. And it's like, first of all, I go to a magnet school. Obviously, I'm not here to waste time and I'm not here because I don't care about my education. If I'm missing a lot of school, there is a reason why. And they, you know, they just send these letters and have you talk to the office and just like berate you for how much school you missed. And it's like, maybe it should be a red flag. If I missed 10 days of school in one semester, maybe there's a reason why that you're not bringing up.
Be concerned with what's going on, not the fact that I missed work. You know what I mean? Like that.
Like, why did I miss? Why is a average student missing way more school than the other students? Is it really because like you think I wanted to sleep all day? And if that's so, why? Why did I just want to stay home and sleep all day? That's a sign too. I already had realized that from a young age, from high school, that, you know, I'm missing school because I can't go to first period today, but I'm still going to stay home and do everything I needed to do. If I'm missing school, I'm not going to miss a day when I have a test because that doesn't make sense. And I think, you know, I would get those letters a lot. Like, you missed so much school. And I'd be like, I simply don't care. You can call my mom because my mom already knows I'm skipping school.
I told her first, and she told me stay home. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't like that term either. Missing school instead of skipping school, because that also has a bad connotation. Like, you're just skipping school for fun instead of missing school because there is a valid reason why. My mom knows every time I miss school. And so you're not telling her a surprise. Like, she already knows this.
I spoke to her first. That's what y'all not understanding. Like, I told my mom everything.
Yeah, like she sees me at home. She's sitting here with me. Like,
I asked her if I could say it. She said it wouldn't hurt. Why not? Like, that's really what you're like. That's what y'all not understanding. And I love that we just have parents that give a damn, you know, because it means something, you know, and a lot of kids don't have that. a lot of kids' parents be the same ones forcing them to go to school too. Like at home and school, they can't catch a break. And those are the kids that I'm not going to say feel bad for, because I know me personally, I don't like pity, but it's kids that I want to help, and I want them to know that they matter. And if you're having mental health issues, and if today just ain't it, and you got to do whatever to make yourself happy. It's all about being happy. And happiness doesn't mean it just means being content with yourself, being comfortable. Even if you do have a smile on your face, that's a perk. But it's all about what's going on internally. Sanjula, I really loved what we got into. I ain't gonna hold you. This was great. It was fucking amazing. I was gonna do like freedom fun, but I think just for this episode, just because a lot got unpacked on this episode, I think I'm gonna just leave it right here. But you know, I definitely would love to have you back on here at some point, especially with Kina.
Right.
I love this. And just for the record, y'all, we're not talking shit about our colleges. We're just giving our point of view on what we feel like college can do to make it better for people who are here, and will probably end up going in the future. So just, disclosure. But thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
You guys, you already know the vibes. You catch more of these episodes. Stay tuned for everything that I have coming to you guys. And that's really about it.
Bye.